Actually, I changed it, so...
Yeah, that's...
So, yeah, I'm supposed to talk about the project we have called, let's see if I can find, RoboWeedMaps. It has been running for 3 years, and there's 1 year left. And we have several partners. We are not as efficient as the previous one. We can't do that much for €1 million or something within a year. I really considered if we should take a course or workshop down there how to be efficient in what we're doing. But there's commercial partners, and the idea is to have the whole chain from collecting images until spraying. So we have all of them. We have us as the university part. That's the farm management system. IGIS is kind of the one collecting images and hosting the algorithms analyzing the images. Agroecology is kind of taking over the camera I will show, and they're also working at the real-time part, receiving the knowledge built up here from us. IBM Consult is a kind of plant protection online on steroids, I normally say, because we really put pressure on it when we ask for prescriptions. And then we have the injection spray Danfoil. And Danfoil is a kind of yes and no for many farmers. You need to be a good operator to use Danfoil, but the nice thing is that it's an injection spray. And in this case, that is really important. And I'm an agronomist. I've been within this business for many years, trying with hyperspectral images. We played with drones, we played with satellites. We gave up, we were not good enough. But I need support from all these people, plus the commercial partners. Yes? So I will start presenting what works, or what we think works. And then we will dive into the problems. What we've showed is that if we can detect grass weeds just when they emerge. And we can go quite fast collecting images. This is a post-processing system or a mapping system where we collect the images and then we think and then we try to make a plan. It's not real-time, not online, all that stuff. If you do that, we did that in the spring in some winter rye and winter wheat here. If we have a very low threshold, if there's 2 weeds or more, we spray grass weeds per square meter. That is really restrictive compared to what I've seen Roland have done, and others that's 10 or 11 or something I've seen the threshold is. But we obtain, if we don't have a buffer and we use interpolation, and you have to be aware of you collect between 300 to almost 1,000 images per hectare, a quarter of a square meter. Then we can obtain these savings. And the green one we sprayed, the red one, we are playing with the spray controller still 3 weeks after. So you heard Jesper, I can just put on top of it. These spray controllers are like babies not wanting to learn anything. But here we had some safety buffer saying if there is this, we put a buffer on 5 meters, here 2.5. Down here we increase the area, but still quite a lot of savings. And I'll come back to here, 2% saving and then 95. So this is what I think we can do, and now we'll dive into the chain getting to here. We are trying to get this up running, this chain for getting images to spraying using the commercial partners now. They're taking over this now. This is the old system, and Morten down here who has designed it, there's really wind in the hair. He's going 45 k's. We can go 60, 70 and get clear pictures. The pictures I'll show you. But when we pass 40, 45, you don't feel safe, even though it's a relatively big HCB. Here's the next one Morten has designed. It's a little smaller, and we will use that in a multi-camera setup. And here, when we have that up running, and it is kind of running, we are beginning to make knowledge transfer to Agroecology, so you get the chance to buy it. Let's go for a ride. This is how it looks when I'm driving. Oh, that's microphone. That's me with a lot of wind. You can see the camera. And there's also the small one behind that one, so we're collecting the two cameras. And then we get kind of this. You can see all the small dots. That's where we collected images for 19 hectares. The capacity in the beginning, originally, the first project we had was called RoboWeed support. And there the idea was to support plant protection online. Because the problem was the farmers didn't go to the field. And if they could just do like this in the field, walk around recognizing the weeds, plant protection online and Flagg and many others have shown you can save between 20 and 40% of herbicides. Just getting the right mix for the field. Nobody's doing it, almost. So we are trying to solve that problem by saying, okay, let's give him a mobile phone, take a picture per hectare. And there we made the first big error as researchers. We try to go out into the field ourselves and take the pictures. And when you look at a 20 or 30 hectare big field with your little camera and you say, okay, I only need one picture per hectare, this is frustrating and it's really hard. The next thing is when you get the pictures, and the idea was the consultants should annotate it for us and experts. You can't trust the experts, they can't recognize the weeds. Because we tried to send the pictures to three different consultants, and in 10% of the cases when it was going well, they disagreed on which weed it was. And then we had a consultant, he really loved one weed. So he kind of assigned a lot of weeds to that group. It makes it hard when you try to train a system. But then we also tried to use drones. And the idea was to use a DJI drone and go down to a meter because we needed high resolution. It's so inefficient. And it's windy, it's raining, and we must see it all the time. Agroecology made an app for it. We made it free, nobody uses, too much work. So, that's why we use an ATV. 1,000 cc, we started with 650. 1,000 is nice when you go with this speed. Especially this Monday, it was raining and it was hailing and we were collecting images still. And I'll show one of them. But this is kind of an example of the variation you will meet. Pictures like this. This is from Flagg, but they have a grass problem, so they are very generous with the seeds, trying to get rid of the grass problem. Here it's one where we have a lot of fava beans. The crop is not fava bean, that is the winter zero. And plant protection online and IBM-wise don't have fava bean in the herbicide, up to one. So the frost is solving it, we've been told. And here's one, we can go closer. And we are capable of detecting the weeds down here, making these, when it's blue, I don't know if you can see it, there's a blue square, that means it's dicot, and when it's red, it's monocot. And here's the fava beans. The fava bean is not the crop, that's a winter wheat. And we can see here, all these small ones is where there's grass, just tiny grass, just emerged. When we were passing this field, I had an expert with me, we were walking and said, oh, then use the glyphosate, there's nothing here. Nothing, there's one there, but it's free of weed. And then the model, the first time we ran it, started to pick up these. Then I added 150 images. I took the one with a lot of grass, marked them and retrained, and then suddenly there was grass all over.
Are you covering 100% of the area?
No, it's sparse sampling, so it's only 350 here images per hectare. We're aiming for 400. I'll come back to why we're using 400 and not 100. We started with 1 per hectare, now we increased to 100, and then we did some bootstrapping, and then we ended on 300 or 400. I'll come back to the why. The 100% Agroecology is working on, they are violating the deep learning algorithms, trying to get it running in real time, making the hard compromises, because there they see the whole thing. So they're working on making a system for that in the project. But you need to there are some things, compromises when you do that. But here you can see the quality. There's also a lot of residues. I don't know if you can zoom, but it's not good, but there's some grass here also. If you want, we can, there is a link and you can get access to it, so you can zoom yourself. I tried to import it as 100%. If we cannot recognize the weeds, we can kind of merge all the markings we have into like this, and this is monocots, and there's some small green ones here. And it is grass, we are verified. And if you go here, there's some nice cleavers, nice big one, but it's really low weed density here. But it's an efficient way to get an idea of what is the weed composition in the field. Of course, we are starting to tear it apart, but this is the first step. And again, the quality. This Monday I was driving together with Morten, and it was raining, and not cats and dog, I think it was elephant and giraffes or something, and hailing, and it was really wet. And there, now it looks like this, and you can see that we get false positives. It gets a little confused because of all the water and the surface. If I mark 50 or 100 images, they will disappear. We still need to adjust it if we want to be perfect when the condition really changes like this. This one, for example, comes from down here. And here you have a good example of a false positive. False positive is the pest in this project. You saw that we have to spray grass weeds. 2 grass weeds per square meter. We have a fifth of a square meter in the image, sometimes a fourth. We tried with 0.4, that's not nice to annotate, so we increase the resolution. Then I feel safe again. But if we see 1 false positive, we multiply with 5. Then we need all the way around when we do interpolation, 0 in order to squeeze it so we don't spray. So it's really putting pressure on the model. No false positive, please, but still find all grass. That's a hard one. And people from SEGES, from IBM consultants, the experts say, yeah, but it's okay, you find 50%, we can handle it. Yeah, I find 50%, I find almost 100. But you have to multiply with 5,000 sometimes, false positives. And when the threshold is 10 or 2 or something, this is not an option. So this is expectation versus reality. This is how it works. We have collected the images, remember the ATV, we uploaded to IGIS the images, and then the IGIS is knocking on the farm management system saying, I have images. Then the images say, okay, I have images, they negotiate, you make a filter for the date, and they say, okay, sorry, it's in Danish this one, time. I find 4,557 images, and it shows you how it looks, just to be sure. So if we have, I've had some dropouts of the DKS sometimes, then you know it if you can trust it. And then you can get a weed map. And here we are struggling a little with the interpolation. Here, the interpolation, we require 5 to 7 images to do the interpolation in order to try to stabilize the small imaging area. And of course we can export, and then I can play. This field here was the one where there was grass all over. You can save 2%, 0. And it's true. This one you can save after retraining. It's the same model done this, so it's not that it can't find grass up. This one you can save 95% based on the threshold we set. And I looked through 1,500 images here to be sure that why, but it's correct, and it's not healthy for your head to do that in one day. And then you can look at the image from a server. This is before the farm management system, so we have not cropped it with the field boundary and all that stuff. But you can also put it in your mobile phone, and then you can. So, You see here I've navigated into a spot which is highly red with die cuts.
See if I can find myself.
And now I can try to turn on the camera to let you have a view. They're relatively small.
I think it's around let's further.
Navigate images from this field.
That's a field we drove this Monday. And there I'm trying to use the map 25 days old to see if I can recognize the area.
This field in thunderstorms.
And I start to walk now, and then suddenly I realize there's a lot of weed and it fits with what I see on the map.
Little wet.
Yeah, you can see the result when you're driving an ATV in that weather. There's mud all over, including me.
I think that was it for demonstration. But I think it's a nice little tool to have. So you can go into the field without installing anything.
You can see that YouTube if you Google RoboWeedMaps.
Weeds. And when we start to,
there's some
numbers right here.
It's updating a little slow, but it's relatively high. And there's some really big weeds here.
Probably have had 3.
The next step, when you have these images, you collected it to the farm management system, and remember it's a grass. Then we contact IBM Consult and ask, what should I spray with? And they make the super cocktail, the atomic bomb against grasses. And then the farmer say, I don't have this one, I don't have this one, and this one, and then they modify the atomic bomb. If you don't know anything, spray for anything. Kind of the policy. The farmer can set it in the farm management system, but because you save so much, there's kind of room for that. And that is returned to the farm management system, and then the threshold is set, and you get maps like this. So that's where you don't save a lot, and this is where you save a lot. And then we can go spraying. That's a farmer from Leminen. It's really nice. He's very patient. I think he's farming for fun, in the sense that Jørgensen, his money somewhere else. He's very patient, nice equipment, and even though we thought 3 weeks and he has a field where the wheat is growing, he's still smiling. Complaining a little, but it's more about the producer of the spray controller. We can't get it to work. It worked in the spring. And I borrowed this one from GeoTeam, who made a little Facebook ad based on what we did in the future cropping project. The music, but it's saying it's spraying, and it's very accurate. It's turning on where it starts, and it's doing quite a nice job. And this is how we would like it to be. Import the map, go spraying. And then I would like to see where did I spray, so I can evaluate it. So here I have the log file. And that log file can be translated into this, so I can assess if I did spray where I expected it to do. And if you revisit, the problem is, does it work? And we can take, this is interesting. Notice it's a little red here, quite very red. And notice it hasn't sprayed here, because the spray controller uses GPS. So if you're just a farmer starting to drive, it takes time before it turns on, because you need to move. The other farmer you saw, he's turning it on and then it starts to drive. And that's why we see, I think, quite high density, grass density here, compared to the other place. This is a design where we try to, how should we assess if it works or don't work when you have this high spatial variation. So the idea is here, they're 21 meters wide, that's 300 meters here or 500 or something. And then the green one is what the farmer wants to do. We do that here, and the 2 meter boundary all around the outer section of the sprayer will always spray that. And then the white one here, that's where we do spot spray, and the narrow white one here is where Flaggerbear will go visit, look at it, because weeds don't disappear when you spray. They start to look strange, but that's it when you want to look at it. So Flaggerbear is going here, and they're trying to look how does it, have it worked, the herbicide, how does it look when it's fit? No herbicide. And then they go out here and look, can we see it has been hit? That's the protocol we're trying to test, if we can get the spray controller to work.
So the red dots are where it's sprayed?
That's where it's supposed to spray.
Okay.
We haven't sprayed yet. We thought we made a safe bet. Because now it's raining. So this is saving. So now the last part here I will use to dive a little to the next step. The next step down here, the next step is variable boom-wide spraying of dicotyledon weeds. And it's a little inspired by what Teresa has made, and Roland Gerhardt, and I think Bern or something. And there's one from Copenhagen University that if you just do it, the boom width, we can catch a lot of the savings. So let's dive in. There is a publication here. Where we try to adapt to the level of the sprayer. The spray controllers are so stupid. So stupid. The sprayers are so simple. If you want to hit a huge area and make an impact, national, international. So we are trying to say, how can we cope with this? And at the same time, we have the problem of the stomach feeling. If you have this little image, how can that represent something? If you look here and then react, that would be very fragile, that decision. So what we did was, again, try to make polygons. This is sampled with 10 images, 100 images per hectare. So try to make these polygons where the trend line was 10 meters in that direction, and then we kind of made a conservative guess. So for every one of these, we asked IWM consult, what should I spray with, what should I spray with? Please optimize so it's the same herbicide composition for all of them. Just tell me where to spray and how much. And we did that for monocots and dicots, and all the images show that has been manually annotated because we are not ready to let the system run itself. When we try, it's okay, but it's not okay for real life. So here we have the savings, and if you go further, we can see that this was the savings, the first saving. If you know what the weed is, spray this all over. This is the cost of a tank mix. If we can adjust the dose infinite, that is the savings. But if you can do plus minus 50%, that's only because it's a Danfoss spray. Many of the other sprays can only do plus minus 20, 25%. If you want to keep the droplet size and distribution. So, in order to do this, Gayle has tried in another trial, just sent it to me today. This is a future cropping field, and we have plenty of images. It's a lot denser. It's I think there's 2 or 3 meters between its images there. So that was the best we had at that time. We have a lot more now. But so she analyzed this, and then she tried to do bootstrapping, saying if I have these polygons with all these, I think, 12 images at least, if I take 2 and ask what should I spray with, I take 2 others, what should I spray with, and all these combinations, and this is for grass, we have done it with dicots too, then it starts to stabilize when you get to 5 to 7. And it's even more clear when it's dicots. So that's why we have increased the number per hectare. And you can't make a decision on 1 or 2 images, especially when it's low threshold weeds like cleavers, some grasses. So but how can you recognize weeds when we can't trust the experts? I will ask that to all of you others, the 1-year super project. How can you trust the experts when they can't recognize the weeds? They think they can. It's human. If you've seen a weed, a lot of it, and then there's coming a newcomer, it looks like it, you just put it into the basket, you know. It's human. So we're trying to handle it. We haven't handled it. So the way we are trying to make the first step is to grow the weeds at Flaggergear. And we have done that with 45 different weed species, approximately. We forgot one. We forgot one. I don't know how we could. Rat's tail fescue. We forgot that one. Okay, we have many images, but come on. We have listed and we have and still you can make a stupid error like that. And this is how it looks. That is 40 centimeters times 40. There is some small weeds here. We know it now. There is sometimes weeds in the weeds, but the majority we know. And if there is a line like that, it's because I didn't trust the system. This is automated, and here I didn't trust it. It can be an old model. It's improving continuously. Especially when they get bigger, it gets hard for it. But you get an idea of what we get. And we have that for 45 species. I'm hoping to get all species in Denmark. We are releasing this data set. Come on, any of you, don't hide it. Release it so we can share, so we can move forward. So it's not only the green, blue, or Google companies who are doing. I think in this forum we need to share, find a protocol, and this is our take. It takes time, but I think that's the value. It's also because we want to conquer your countries. And if you grow them, it's cheaper for us. But we share, we take, it's a give and take. This was the original idea. You know, when you go in the field, the real field, the problem with many of the publications I've done, Roland, many others, Martin Weiss, we have recognized weeds we can recognize. But there's a lot of weeds, when you look at it, you can't recognize. You can just say it's a monocot, dicot, it's Camilla, but you can't really tell more. So we were planning to do it hierarchically. We have done it in clover grass. We can discriminate white and red clover, for example. There's a data set you can play with and learn it to do it yourself for free. But this hierarchy is a little deep, too complex for us. So we kind of simplified it. There was discussion, should we adapt it to the herbicide, should we adapt it to roots if it's mechanical or whatever, but this is the first take. It's a generic, so we can change when we get it to work. So the first step is find the weed. Is it monocot, dicot? Then we go into the family level, and then we go into the species level. That's what we work on now. The headache is when do the model dare to move down to the family? When do the model dare to move down here? If you tell me it's a cleaver, you better be sure. If you're not sure, move up to dicots. Because it has consequences. I'm sitting here with my bomb, all my weapons, and I shoot if there's anything. So don't tell me there's nothing, or there's something if there isn't. At least give me a chance to make a decision. This is the preliminary. The idea is to start here, then you move down here, and you move down here. Here we kind of have three models trying to predict, and if you look at the performance, it's super. It's overfitted. But it's just to give you an idea. We are working on handling to make a proper test set, and we have the problem, many of you will have a machine, it's learning something else. Notice the images we had, there's barcodes on. The model will probably learn the barcode if we have several images of the same date, so we need to handle that. You'll probably learn there is a stone next to that one, so but that stone, that's how we do it. But there are methods we are starting to implement, hitting it when it starts to use that kind of feature. Here's a species level. We have more than this now. Don't ask me for all these, I'm not good at that. Now it's family, and it's because there's a one in front, then it's can be family. But let's dive in, because we're trying to, all my computer vision guys, deep learning guys, they're engineers. They don't know much about this. So we are trying to present it in a way so we can discuss with you experts and see, is there a trend, is this correct, does it look okay? So this is all the images from the test set, and you should probably recognize this one, and we can zoom in because there's really tiny ones and really big ones, and that's what the model needs to handle too. And now we can start to look at it, and we can start to dive into, this is the misclassified one. we can start to look at and discuss why is this one misclassified. So that's where we're heading now, because when we get this up running, we hope we have it. When we have this up running, then we have to move into the field. We need to adapt the images so it's robust in the field, in the real situation. And then we will hopefully be able to do this in the spring 2020. Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah. Morten, I did it 4 times. So there's time for questions.
Should we give Rasmus a call?
Any questions for?
Yeah. Thanks for your very nice presentation. And I have a question about at the file I see that you build a very accurate weed map. So and then later maybe you import this map to the chapter and then spread.
Yeah.
It's based on zero information, zero reference information.
Yeah, the problem with most spray controllers is that they can do this. They can look under the belly, and they forget that out there's something, and out there's something. So we need to make the decision for the spray controller for this width. If we say we want to do it section-wise, then we need more images. So that's also the compromise. There is a price to pay when you increase the resolution. So this is the best compromise we ended up with at the moment. But it is trying to adapt to what the capability of the spray controller. We started with the injection sprayer. It's still really nice because that field here, you probably tell the farmer you need 150 liters of water. And he said, come on, I have 11 tons of tank here. And that's another one. We had a discussion with a farmer, and he said, we were updating him to get an injection spray. And he was saying, I don't know if I don't want, because what should I do with all these canisters with recipes in? What? Come on, what? Yeah, I don't have that problem because I empty the tank in the other way. So he's just dumping it, but now he has a problem because now he's not dumping it. He needs to dump it and pay for it. We haven't thought of that. We haven't seen that one coming. But that original idea with the injection sprayer was that to get the reaction time down to 20 meters or something, they said they could do that. But we realized it's still really complex to control it when you have this lag. You need to know whether it's driving, when it's driving, speed and everything. So you need a new spray controller. And the second thing was we realized the majority of the savings we can do just by adjusting for the whole boom. I think Teresa has also written somewhere that the whole boom which you get really far with in some simulations we did some years ago.
It's also based on GPS.
Yeah, it's all GPS, RTK. Yeah.
And also, can you provide some detail about what kind of algorithm for lead seedling detection? Deep learning based or conventional machine learning based for lead detection in your map?
We have published on it. If you go into detail, you need to talk with Nima down there. He's doing the deep learning part, and we have Morten from IGIS, and we have Gaylene also working on it. And of course, Henrik also has some knowledge.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, somehow we cannot trust in expert for weed identification, and we should trust in the algorithms. But since we are supervising the algorithms, so labeling. So if we are labeling and we are doing it wrong, how can the algorithm be better than the human?
Exactly, but that's why we grow.
Because it's a supervised algorithm. It's not an unsupervised algorithm developed right now.
The algorithm we have is that's based. It's a mix at the moment, but we are trying to cling to the truth, and the truth in our world is what Flagavia has grown. We trust that they know what they're growing. And then we try to adapt these images as close as we can get to reality by style transfer and different tricks. to get it close to what you see in the field, because the second you say, okay, now we have to go into the field and validate it, we need to ask persons. And that's super expensive. But we're trying to mix it, but it is really a challenge.
Yeah.
And we are trying also, and I think that's what we're missing in much of this deep learning thing, machine learning, is don't trust your algorithm. It's like a teenager. You need to nurse it, nurse it, nurse it. And many of the companies, they thought, okay, make the model for us, we take it, run for it. And then realized, and it delayed us 1.5 years or something before, for example, I just realized, whoa, we have to hire expert in a higher pay grade than we have hired. The pay grade was simply too low to absorb what we were doing. And then they had to hire experts to annotate, because you need to nurse it and nurse it and nurse it. Pine needles, you know these pine needles, I hate them. Especially when you're looking for grants.
I have more a practical question. You mentioned that this interpolation requires 5 to 7 pictures, but it looks to me at least that you have a perfect sense of geopositioning yourself to drive that. Or how did you?
Yeah. Let's assume the picture is perfect. It's not perfect. Let's say 10, 20 centimeters, something. You can get it down to centimeter when Morten has time to fix the details.
But you don't have GPS when driving.
Yeah, we have GPS, we have IMU, we have height measurement, ultrasound. Morten has put everything in. So it's a kind of camera, buy it, get you good pictures. That's the idea of this camera, because we burned our fingers so many times on that part.
Yeah, but my question is how should be the spatial distribution of images? So how you say 5 to 7 pictures, but how distant should be?
We are sampling for every 5 meters at the moment.
Okay.
So roughly a square grid of 5 by 5 meters.
Okay.
And the best is to have a very dense orthogonal on the driving direction, because that's where the variation is. But that costs cameras, so it's cheaper to sample dense in that direction. So it's the best we have based on what we've done. You can put a lot of math on it, an equation and Fasson and whatever you can figure out. But the thing is that I think the bootstrapping we did, where we took 2 pictures, 3 pictures, and asked the expert system what should we spray with. When that one stabilized, we decide, okay, this seems to be right.
I think we have for Therese, you have
Yeah, I was wondering what the farmer means about this map-based system. Who is going to take these pictures?
We focus on as a service. And now I think he would like to have the maps at least.
I buy 100 AGVs if it can be done precisely at that speed. I promise you that, Rasmus.
Because we have noticed, just when you have the monochrome dichrome maps, something happens in the head of the farmers and the consultants. You get insight. You have never had, okay, we can take the next step, but just the monochrome dichrome is really a cornerstone. But we are doing it as a service because it's an expensive camera if it's just sitting at a sprayer boom doing nothing at last period. But if on an ATV we can use it for clover grass, we can use it for weed, and it's educated people doing it. That's why we aim at a service first take. Of course, Agroecology is working on violating and simplifying the camera, making it cheaper, and then put it on a boom, whatever. That's the idea, but this is the Rolls-Royce service, trust me service, kind of. And then the nice thing about the real-time system, who the fuck can verify it's correct what it's doing? That's hard. Yeah, the yield. But there's so many sources for the yield to decrease. There can be drought, it can be wind, it can be... Because some of the weeds are in fact increasing the yield. So it's wrong to call it weed. There's beginning comes some literature that it's stupid to clean your field totally. There's something which is beneficial. And that's the next step. That's when you can discriminate all these ones, we can start to play clever.
Let's just try this. Yes, and then
I'm not a specialist in herbicides at all, but and I
fully understand that it's important for you to be able to discriminate the different weed species. I totally understand that. But then I don't really understand reality, because you say, and you are correct, that farmers are not walking into the field and determining the weed species, and they are probably not able to do it.
No.
But if you go to conventional fields, cereal fields, there are almost no weeds. There are weeds, there are some grass weeds. It's a huge problem, but the rest...
I totally disagree. That's
You
because
totally
it's after
disagree.
spraying you're looking. When we are taking the images, there are weeds.
Yeah, but they will...
Does it matter?
Doesn't matter, they will never compete with a crop. There are so many...
No, but they're spraying, so
Surveys.
we are kind of discussing based on their spraying all over. So,
But that's also a mistake.
yeah, but nobody dares not to do it. We are struggling to get the
No,
farmer
but
to wait a week.
But
we can
that's a strange thing, that nobody dares not
Yeah.
to do it. But if you go into conventional fields and exclude a few
Yeah.
troublesome weed species, you find nothing. You find nothing that compete with a crop.
No.
So there's something in my head that
Yeah, but I don't disagree at all with you when it comes to that. But what we are trying to do is to make a map so you can start to discuss it on an enlightened basis, and not I feel basis.
But I think you do what you should do, and I think that's fine, but I'm also trying to figure out, because I don't think Untitled will buy 180 ATVs. I'm trying to find out, when the project is over, can it be simplified somehow? Because what you're doing, in my opinion, is the best solution possible from a technical point of view. And I think that's fine, that's research, that's development.
We are on research, we have made a lot of compromises.
Yeah, but
We are not playing with drones and all that stuff.
but in the real life, you will probably have to do it even more simple.
Yeah, but the problem is when we discuss with consultants, we discuss with farmers, we discuss with Danfoy who would like to sell it as a plus product or service. They say if you make one mistake, you're doomed. And that's what we are struggling with when we try to make a solution. But I think one mistake you're doomed.
But I don't think you should listen too much
No,
to them, because they are a little bit
But that's-
biased.
Yeah, but who should we listen to? The consultants say the same.
You could listen to me.
The but the consultants,
As a starting point.
the problem is that the consultants are saying spray, spray, spray. And we are saying, please don't spray the weed so we can see the
No, I have
weeds
Champions
already.
here.
Don't listen to the company selling.
Don't listen to the selling companies, don't listen to the consultants. Just sell the stuff. But it's hard, the business plan is really a challenge for us.
But it's because it's cheap still.
The herbicide is cheap, but I think we should move
If
to,
the price was 10 times higher, you would
if
probably
we can
have
get,
some other agenda.
if we can get 15 to 20 euro per hectare.
I'm not saying that it should be like that, I'm just saying the challenge is that it is very cheap.
Yeah.
That is the challenge. I don't
But if the
argue that it
society
should be
moves,
more expensive.
but I think one of the problem is that there has not been the license to spray policy. It's, we can't do anything, we have no solution, so spray. Kind of.
But what is simplify, I would also ask, is it make it cheaper or make it simpler? Because that's not necessarily the same thing. Because a lot of these very complicated things are more or less for free and are getting a lot cheaper. You're, for example, seeing camera sensors being brought into the automotive industry in big numbers now, so they are decreasing rapidly in prices. You see computing power also dropping rapidly in prices. So complexity and economics is not necessarily the same thing here. So kind of try to discriminate between the two.
I think we need to move on to the next speaker. On early detection of herbicide effects.